Got it.
Welcome to the new JFK show, number 176. It's Miss Charlotte Bustos. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Larry?
No, it's Sherry now. Sherri. Sherry.
Wow. I didn't know about that. So, all right, we got Dr. Fetzer here. This is one mysterious woman here that Larry's zeroing in on. And come to find out, the new documents are bringing out more information on Miss Bustos, that is. So go ahead, Larry.
Yeah. I wish
I do these to you.
Are we good for that, Gary?
Yes, you are. Ready to roll.
Okay, so I can do a screen share.
Sherry, huh?
Sherry, yes.
Okay. After 4 shows, she's not Charlotte anymore. Okay.
No, not at all. And this is the reason why documents that were released previously, in this case, this one 1994, acquire new significance when we, bring them in with the new documents that were released after 2017. All right, Jim and Gary. So in itself, it's innocuous, as it looks, because it just says personal history statement, Zerum, okay? And at this moment in 1994, as you see here, we didn't even know what Zerum meant, that surname or anything. And the way we do now, where we have been able to connect it to Charlotte Bustos from from the cables of October. In my book, I call them the cables of October, as in reference, the missiles, because they have the same significance here, and those were the 2 cables that she shot off on October 9 and 10th, which were belated much, because if Lee Oswald was, in the Soviet embassy and the Mexican, the Cuban embassy at the end of September, early October, then why is this cable coming out more than a week later, so belated? So anyway, we get this, and this is a personal history statement, and it pertains to one Charlotte Louise Zerum. Hello. Yeah. So, and she is permanent address, Washington, D.C., but her entire roots are from Dayton, Ohio. Placid Dayton, Ohio at the time. And this whole document here, as you will shortly see, shows her mother, everything, from the beginning. We did a show already or 2 on this woman and her importance here there at the Mexico City station, but we never were able to get this type of detail. And even though it was already there, we couldn't connect it to her because of the difference in surname, because Zerum has nothing to do with Bustos, correct? It only happens when she marries Cesar Bustos, the Argentinian professor, in 1961, while she is working at the Mexico City station. All right. So I don't want to, bore you guys with, all this minutia, but as we go down here, this is her original CIA application where they asked her for everything, her father right here, relatives who were in the military. And I found this one of extreme importance because it says relatives by blood or marriage in the military or civil service of the U.S. government, of the U.S. or foreign or a foreign government. And clearly it says her cousins, 2 cousins and an aunt were working for the military/intelligence apparatus at the time. So obviously, to me, this is her gateway into the CIA. It's very obvious to me, and this is her, original CIA application. and it was even typewritten. She had to type it out. And this is the clue right here that shows how she was nudged into that position of the CIA, which culminated in her being in Mexico City at the time that Lee Oswald, you know, supposedly was there, which we all know that did not happen. And it enhances her role, in the fabrication of what happened in Mexico City, because if she is the one who is sending these cables, all right, and creating this back paper trail, okay, going back, after the fact, which is what I think happened. And also, we mentioned before, in our previous program, that a couple of prominent authors have also come up with that opinion. So, this is what I was looking at. And, all of a sudden at the end of this file, we find this. Charlotte, and this is when she got married, when she changed her name, when she married or supposedly married Cesar Bustos, okay, the Argentinian who had been working in Washington for, I think, 14 years in some kind of Argentinian attaché arrangement between the military in Argentina and the U.S., and he was actually working in Washington. Actually, that's how they met. All right. But I don't want to bore you guys any more than necessary here. But going further down, okay, this is where I think the importance of the changing of her surname, from Charlotte Zerum to Charlotte Bustos Videla dash Videla, which essentially gives her a completely new identity. Okay, so if you can see here, Dayton, Ohio, okay, and going down here, remember we were talking about in the previous show about how they went to investigate her entire family and they wanted to know exactly. Remember that? Well, this is the document that shows that entire family, okay, starting from the father up here, Javier Bustos, who was deceased 1950, and then the mother, Otilia Videla de Bustos. Now, this is right here why it's so important, because in Spanish society and Spanish countries like this, we're talking about you keep the surname of the mother, okay, which you do not keep in the U.S. All right, so this would be the mother's last name, okay, is Ofelia Videla, and when they say de Bustos here, it actually means, literally belonging to Bustos, of the family or of that man, Mm-hmm. So, and that's how it is in every Latin American Spanish-speaking countries. The woman keeps her, if she's going to keep her maiden name, she has to add DE and then the last name of her husband, in this case, de Bustos. All right. And this is the mother. This is, Charlotte Bustos' husband, Caesar, his mother, okay, his dad is deceased, 1950. And then after that, all of the brothers. I mean, remember we were talking about, there's like 11 brothers, and sisters. Well, here they are, one after another. Javier, Armando, Arturo, Gustavo, Humberto, on and on, in this document.
Yeah, so, they don't do a background check if you get into the royal family.
Yeah. So, yeah, even going down to where at the top, a little bit further up, where he actually had a daughter with a woman with which he lived in Washington while he was stationed there. Remember, he was there for 14 years. you know, and her name was Sylvia Aurea Bustos. All right, let me see if I can pull that up here real quick. See,
Sylvia.
oh, another thing, as you can see in all these here she go, Sylvia Aurea. Okay, let me zoom in here. All right, Sylvia, daughter-in-law, okay, of Charlotte. Date of birth 1952, citizenship in the USA, but she's living in San Juan, Argentina. All right, and we're talking about at the time when, you know, she's, hold on. All right. So we're talking about at the time where, you know, 1952, 1953, and she's still living, you know, here in Washington, but going back and forth, you know, to Mexico and her TDYs, you know, as shown in, you know, all these documents. But the thing about this is that her husband, the one that she married, supposedly, you know, and another thing that Charlotte never had any kids, you know, except for this step daughter that appears here in these documents. So Charlotte, you know, after, let me get back to over here. Okay, remember we were going here?
Yeah.
Okay, and here we go. All right. Sorry if I go back and forth here. Relatives by blood or marriage in the military or civil service, the U.S. or a foreign government. A cousin, 38 years old. Major Jack Macklin, 31. Don't you think that's a young age to be a major, Jim?
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. I mean, that would make sense. If he was very good, he'd be in the first of his class to be promoted. It could fit, but it would imply he's very highly qualified and competent.
Or connected.
Yeah.
Well, possibly.
Yeah. And the other cousin, you know, Colonel Paul, you know, 38. So anyway, this is her actual, you know, these are her actual roots. And I believe that this is how she was.
Yeah. She was born to be a spook.
Like we said, you know, and I can, and, you know, I'm glad that we were able to get these marvelous images of her. Okay.
Yeah,
and
show that
the other is much more flattering than this latest. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course.
That's a copy of a black and white.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. So now
those are blue. It says they're blue.
Sherry, and okay, did I show you guys? Okay, this is what I want to show you. Hold on.
Zero.
Sherry. Here we go. Okay. Charlotte, right here. Nickname.
Cherry.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what San Ray Gardens in Dayton 9, Ohio. I wonder where that is. We haven't checked out any GPS things, any GPS data, obviously. So that's basically what we have on Charlotte, you know. So the thing about this here is that I wanted to show you guys about Mr. David. And oh, here we go. This is here we go. Okay. Abbreviations mentioned in Charlotte Bustos' 201 file, okay, in which she was involved.
Counter-espionage.
That's right. Counterintelligence, foreign intelligence, which means recruitment of foreign intelligence agents to work in the framework of whatever. And I would have to say immediately that would have been Liempty, the photographic program, and Lee Envoy, the wiretap operation, you know, that was going on, in the Soviet and Cuban embassies. You
And
know,
everybody thought she was a secretary, right?
a dumb.
Yeah,
No,
dumb
no, no,
lonely
no, no,
secretary.
no, 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 no. Okay, right. Okay. So this here, this is what I wanted to get to. Okay. Now, one of the first. Okay, Jim. I'm getting a little tired
Sure.
here. You go. So
So why is this change of name important? In 1994, one of the first documents released after the 1992 ARB mandate was a personal history statement of an individual only identified as Zerong 104-10110-10358. This PHS, personal history statement, included Charlotte Zerong's original application to the CIA and a trove of personal information about this woman nicknamed Sherry and her immediate and part of her extended family, such as 2 cousins and an aunt, were in the military intelligence services. Equally as important, the second part of this file gives a complete breakdown of her new husband's family in Argentina. Exactly as surmised above, Bustos' entire family was Busto Vidalia, where Vidalia, or is it Videla?
Videla.
Videla was his mother's surname, one which should never have made its way into Charlotte's new name and identity. With this document flying under the radar, and with a very belated release of her 201 file, it is now possible to surmise that her marriage and name change were done with a purpose in mind. Cesar Bustos' family tree clearly shows Videla as his mother's maiden name, and all of his siblings conserving this name, as is the custom in Latin America and Spanish-speaking countries.
That's right. It's just, like if, your mother's last name, sticks onto your identity card or whatever, your license, it doesn't happen here in the States, but here, not only does she switch her name from Zerung, okay, she switches her name to Bustos Videla, which had nothing to do. Videla shouldn't have even been in the picture here. And as I showed earlier, here Otilia Videla de Bustos, and how that works, and how this whole thing, attains a whole different meaning, regarding her in Mexico City, with the cables and everything, and she's the one that's creating the paper trail of Lee Oswald. Okay, so I have to oh man, it's crazy, but I have to submit, Jim, that she might have had something to do with creating, those that paper trail of cables, belated cables, October the 9th and 10th, implicating Lee Oswald, in interactions, they could not prove, neither by photograph or by, wiretap, which they had covered, so it's frustrating.
Yeah, I think that's very plausible, Larry. And it still troubles me that Judith wants to insist Lee went to Mexico City when clearly his visit was a fabrication. I mean, something does not add up.
Of course, I agree, but we're beyond that. It's we're
well beyond. Yeah, you're right.
Just in the sense that we're finding out about this woman that it was almost at the par of David Morales. It's nothing to be sneezed at or anything like that. I think this woman, her qualifications and everything that's contained in the file that we find out about her, now in 2017, after, going forward now, even 2022, which, contains so much evidence of her being very important, and since her name is on those very important cables, and not only that, the information that's in this chapter of the book, that shows, her HSCA testimony and how she avoided, so many lines of inquiry and
recall.
everything. Yeah. Yeah. So, it's just, so
She was,
anyway, I just,
she was very clever.
so this is how it shapes up. I thought that she was part of the Lee Envoy chapter, as just, one of the, players, but, more and more information started to come out where, I had to give her a chapter of her own.
Larry, this is all such sensational stuff. What you're doing here with your new book, this is wonderful.
So, and this is all from the new, I mean, now almost 6 years, Jim, 5 years, of research, since, the 2017, the summer of 2017, when these documents first came out, and this is, they're going to say, oh, there's nothing in there, to give you, a smoking gun or anything like that. But, of course not. But if like I've been saying so many times, so many years, where to place that piece of the puzzle, where it belongs, and you start to see the larger picture, and so anyway, let me see. Oops, we were down to Charlotte. 7. No. So,
Larry, if there were prizes for JFK research, you'd deserve them, believe me.
Oh, yeah, he gets the next 100% truther trophy.
Yeah, but I don't need them. Okay. My comparison of these two individuals is right here, and it has to do with, that Ted Shackley, the blonde ghost, who was David Morales's immediate supervisor, and Ted Shackley submits this memo on Charlotte Bustos, and she's going for GS13, sorry, to GS14, recommendation for promotion. Now, this is one that we need to really focus on. This is one that I wanted to, for the rest of the show here, and maybe we can elicit some comments.
And who is the author, Larry?
Ted Shackley, right here at the bottom.
Shackley. Okay, good.
Theodore Shackley, Chief Western
Wow,
Hemisphere.
that's
big. We're talking about the big leagues. The big leagues.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Number 1, it is recommended that Charlotte Bustos Videla be promoted from GS13 to GS14. 2, the performance of this officer has been characterized for many years by all of her superiors as consistently strong to outstanding. She has been able to establish herself as indispensable in each headquarters, branch, or field station and assignment, usually functioning as the backbone of the unit to which assigned. Since return to headquarters in September 1972 from her field assignment in Mexico, her performance has been entirely congruent with the thrust of the field station's enthusiasm over her ability, performance, attitude, and growth potential. She is currently chief of the Cuban and CA, Covert Action section of her branch. It has established once again her mastery over her assigned duties. She is the kind of sound, dependable, yet imaginative officer greatly appreciated by her supervisors. In short, she is a true professional who performs beyond her grade level.
Oh, by the way, she was 5'8", 125.
Blue eyes.
Blue eyes.
And brown hair. 3, in regard to her potential, she has served in the agency since 1951, starting as a secretary stenographer and advancing brilliantly with each new challenge offered. She achieved professional status in 1953 and has spent the bulk of her time since then specializing in Latin American affairs, demonstrating total flexibility in assignments, a voracious appetite for work, and a penchant for exceptionally precise and thorough productions. A review of her career to date can lead to the conclusion that she has always risen successfully to each new professional challenge and is still far from reaching her maximum capacities. While she has had little supervisory experience in the field, her supervisor was of the opinion that she is a natural leader. This has been borne out in her performance in her current capacity as branch section chief, in which she has demonstrated exemplary supervisory ability. Notwithstanding her desire, aggressiveness, and professional applause,
Her drive, yeah.
she is a popular co-worker, is receptive to guidance, and sensitive and responsive to the needs of her subordinates. Wow.
What else can you say for this girl, man?
What a review.
She's no ordinary lover, I'll tell you that.
This is terrific.
You're gonna tell me, see, and the cables of October say, see Bustos.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, like this is a
As though
ghost.
she were still a secretary, stenographer.
Yeah, okay, it gets better.
4. This employee has utilized her fluency in the Spanish language to maximum advantage in her work. Formal testing recently confirmed her high proficiency in that language, coupled with a comprehensive training record and her invaluable experiences over a 20-year period. She's become particularly effective in Latin American operations and operational support, demonstrating excellence in each of several recognized organizations, including CI,
counterintelligence,
operations, functional support, reports and requirements, area support, and varied covert action activity.
Are you kidding me? Right there, you know what you're talking about? Liempty and Lienvoy. Period.
Yeah.
Serious.
Excuse me.
We're talking serious shit, Larry.
That's what
5. The officer's adaptability, high intelligence, and mastery over trade was of inestimable value to Mexico City stations in over a 5-year period. From 1967 to 1972, she functioned as the station's internal troubleshooter. Her duties included the maintenance
probably, you know what they redacted her? Lienvoy and Liempty. Lienvoy and Liempty.
Yeah.
Really. Target analysis, report writing, operational support, handling of that would probably be counterintelligence agents, and special assignments as the chief of station's executive assistant.
And
6.
you know what? Handling of blank agents. We're talking about FI agents, which are foreign intelligence agents.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Maybe
and in that regard, talking about Raymond Haran and Oliver Scantling. It's very obvious.
maybe presidents of Mexico, Larry. 6. The employee is occasionally called upon by the Office of Training to administer specialized training, and she was chosen recently to attend the mid-career course ending in December 1972. Meanwhile, her absence from her new job is felt sorely by the branch.
I'm sure.
It is expected that her current assignment will last about 2 years, 7 in summary.
And you know which current assignment is that? Is the one that we did not divulge in the last show, which we are going to divulge now. Remember, we talked about that they had given her the chief of station of an unnamed, foreign country, and we're going to talk about that now as soon as we're done here.
In summary, we have here an exceptional officer who has been performing at the level of a GS-14 for some years. It is now time to promote her to that grade commensurate with her performance, and which she so justly deserves. Theodore G. Shackley, Chief, Western Hemisphere.
The Blonde Ghost, also known as the Blonde Ghost, and Ted Shackley was David Morales's immediate supervisor. And I cannot help but see, look at, some kind of connection here, that these are his two superstars, in Mexico City, Charlotte, and in Miami and Cuba, depending on the year, David Morales, I mean, they were doing exactly the same thing. If you remember, we looked at FI and everything here at the top here. If you look at Morales's dossier, that's exactly what he was involved in. CI, FI, CE, covert action. Both of them were doing exactly the same thing, but from different points. On the.
She was clearly a major player.
Yeah, she was. Oh, definitely. So I believe one last thing we had here. Let me see if I remember. I'm gonna do like this guy here. Oh man, crazy woman, So anyway,
When did she pass away?
I think she's still around. She's 93. Her husband obviously. But I'll just
Call her up.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so that's incredible stuff, coming out. You just gotta, like I said, you gotta, do stupid stuff like me, look at these documents and
Now you wanted to talk about the role where she was the head we didn't reveal last show that you wanted.
Thank you for reminding me. Yes. Okay. All right. Are we here?
That was the Shackley.
Shackley? Yeah. Here we go. Okay. We did this. We did all.
You published it. You got too many 700-page books.
This goes to the
This one's over 8.
Yeah, I got too many things in my head here, but it's gonna be worth it. Here we go.
All right. Trinidad and Tobago permanent changes station. In July 1974, Charlotte Zerung Bustos, at the time of GS-13, was promoted to chief of station of Port of Spain in the tiny island nation of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean.
Who would have known?
This action by the CIA was unprecedented, considering the degree of misogyny which existed in the military and intelligence communities, which dictated a woman's place in those respective hierarchies.
Sorry, I don't want to get any women, attacking me, but that's the way it was, Jim and Gary.
Yeah.
Simply put, women were not appointed to such lofty positions anywhere in those entities at that time. It would take decades for that to happen, but one cannot help but
let me go down here. Consider
if this initiative might have been in reaction to new investigation into CIA activity on the horizon, such as the Church and Rockefeller commissions, where isolating Zerung Bustos would have been necessary for obvious position to get her out of the way into an obscure position. Trinidad would have been just the ticket. This is a document that proves her appointment to chief of station in Port of Spain, Trinidad in July 1974. Bear in mind that this was precisely the information that for some reason she did not want to come out during her secret HSCA testimony.
That's right. She said, I was chief of station of, unnamed, and I don't know, and I'm not going to talk about this unless I get subpoenaed, So Trinidad and Tobago. You guys know where this is? It's right off of Venezuela,
Yeah, well, it's a teeny tiny entity. I mean, totally obscure, Larry.
Okay. Do you think this is related to maybe, making her unavailable?
Yeah, obviously, sure, of course. Needless to say. Yeah.
And at the same time, giving her such a lofty position here, of chief of station, that's probably, I'm sure that this had never happened before, there's no precedent here, and as she is elevated to this position, which probably any women has never, obtained, what can I say? So,
he was born into this position.
Are
And
you kidding me? No. Now that you mentioned that, let's go back in time here. Hold on, Gary. Thank you for mentioning that because I want to go here and show you guys in her personal history. Okay, you guys see that, right?
yeah,
She went to Guatemala when she was 15 years old, and she went to Mexico when she was 17 years old. Let me see if I can locate that here. Okay, going back in time here. Okay, Syracuse University, University of San Carlos, Guatemala. Okay, she spent a summer there, summer of 1948.
Spanish
She was
credits.
born in 1929, so this is what? She's 19, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, she's
Okay,
learning Spanish in college.
no, but she spent summers in Guatemala and in Mexico. So who has this vision of her? It's like she was created, okay, for purposes. Who the hell knows? Her
It's
father was in the flower business, okay, and she worked summers, but then she ends up here in waiting on customers. Hold on. I did a lot of exempt and declamation work and public speaking contest. I mean, it's like she is being groomed for this type of
I think it might be a stretch of
career.
analogy, but people that work at the fairgrounds, all of those positions, you're born into that. They don't give those positions up.
Nah, but the thing is about she already has family who are in the military and intelligence.
Putting in the right places.
Here, okay, Guatemala City, okay, Spanish, summer of 1948. Okay, she is 19 years old. You know what 19-year-old goes and ventures into Guatemala?
I know.
You see what I'm talking about here?
Yeah.
And this is not this is not, I don't know, but I see a lot of crazy stuff here with this Charlotte. And now that we have a lot more information on her, now we know, how lofty, up to where she, attained in her career,
Jerry, my speculation would be she may have orchestrated the whole scenario of Oswald coming to Mexico City. She may have been the brain.
Absolutely.
And that's why they got to get her the hell out of town.
Not only that, change her, see, they already changed her
Permanent.
identity.
That's a permanent change of station. That should be a temporary duty assignment if she were to be there at all. I mean, ridiculous.
Well, she's in Mexico. She continues to be in Mexico until almost 1970, So what happens is that she continues upwards, and at the end, in fact, there are documents where she is telling Win Scott, and we didn't look at that one, but that's a very important one, where she is in Washington already in, I believe, 1967, 1968, when Jim Garrison is starting to raised all this ruckus, and Mexico mystery man, the guy that they said it was Oswald, it wasn't Oswald, it was taken in the Liemti take, and she's the one that sends Win Scott a message and says, that she wants to know where the negatives are, and if they exist, to not be destroyed, because she wants them, and she is at Langley, working at Langley at headquarters, So this woman, was not just a secretary, and we need to pay attention, to this thing about the Bustos cables of October the 9th and the 10th, which already Bill Simpich is, baptizes the twin cables, and her involvement in creating the Lee Oswald, scapegoat, and the patsy in Mexico City, when that crap never happened. Sorry.
Larry, I mean, that was like the most important aspect of the whole government's whole case.
And everybody took it for granted.
Communist, and we knew he was a communist because he went to Mexico City to get a visa to make an escape by
and they don't even
to
look
the Soviet Union, and it was all bullshit.
And they don't And they don't even
Totally
look what's
fabricated.
behind me. That they don't even look at here what's behind me. That
Yeah,
the
it's not
passport says
stamped.
you
It's
cannot
not even
travel
stamped.
to Cuba.
It's not stamped. And he can't go. It says you cannot
It's
go.
right behind me, Jim and Gary.
Well,
Yeah.
that government there, they just overlook. They just sort of fumble these things, I mean, after all, it only concerned a minor matter,
But can
the
you guys see it?
assassination of the 35th president of the United States.
You can see it there. It says
Yeah.
you cannot use this passport to travel to Cuba. How can we be so stupid, man?
Yeah.
Gullible. Let's
Love it.
sign
Love
off.
it.
Let's
Love
sign
it.
off.
There's
We're
lots.
having a good time. Let's sign off.
Love it.
So
This
many
is
shows
wonderful.
out there, man. So I'd like to give y'all a show alert if y'all done doing this.
It just shows what a fabricated house of cards this whole thing framing Lee Oswald from beginning to end. Just garbage.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
And they get so arrogant from pulling off this happy horse shit. They think they can get away with anything, and it bears they damn well can.
Yeah, and they do. Well, sign us off, Gary.
Wonderful stuff.
All right.
Wonderful stuff.
I wanted to show y'all something before we go, real quick. I want to play devil's advocate, if y'all don't mind. Let me see if I can find this. All right, now, just 1 second. There it is. All right. This is current things right here. So what I actually wanted to do, since we do have a few minutes left, I was going to be devil's advocate. I'm going to be reading this to you guys, and I want y'all to, almost like a debate. All right. Okay, so this guy here is a retired Royal Canadian Mounted Police serious crimes detective and investigator with the British Columbian Coroner's Service. Also a marksman, sniper, and SAS trained emergency response team. I've also got a bit of experience around with life and death. I'm an international best-selling crime writer and deadly blogger. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So let's see.
Yeah, but that last part is important, Gary, because this is a false persona. I mean, he's putting himself up as an expert to be reinforce the official narrative of JFK.
Mm-hmm. His name is Jerry Rogers, and so let me just read this. It's very, very short. Okay. All right. There are only 3 significant questions left unanswered in the assassination of United States President John F. Kennedy, which occurred in Dallas, Texas on November 22nd. Why did he do it? First is Lee Oswald Harvey's motives. Why did he do it? We'll never know for sure, because Oswald never did confess and died 2 days later, taking the secrets to his grave. Second, where was Oswald going to after the assassination? He left the scene, went home, grabbed a revolver, and walking down South Dallas Street, on a Dallas street, when intercepted by Officer Tippett, Oswald shot Tippett and continued fleeing before getting cornered in a theater where he attempted to shoot the arresting officers, clearly when he was planning to live another day. All right, you want to talk about that one?
Well, it's all nonsense. I mean, we know his frame.
Why do I have to?
He didn't go out of his way to. He didn't go out of his way to shoot Tippett. I mean, it's just silly. That was so fabricated.
Why do I have to waste saliva on something like that?
All right, let me keep on now. Third question: what happened to the missing bullet? Evidence clearly shows that Lee Harvey Oswald fired 3 shots from his 6.5 Carcano rifle, which was recovered from the 6th floor of the Tech School Book Depository. Conspiracy exhibits there is give it a rest. Oswald was a trigger man and he acted alone. Not a single piece of evidence exists to refute this, because non-events leave no evidence. It never happened any other way than Oswald acting alone.
So we get it. This is what do they call it?
It's called hardcore propaganda in 2023.
A screed.
Yeah.
This is just embarrassingly bad.
Oh yeah. And then they talk about how the single bullet theory is correct. Now that takes balls, if you ask me. Let me just read that.
Gary, why are you giving this, propaganda here on our show?
Because I wanted y'all to rip it apart for me.
Nah, it shouldn't even Bring it up.
Worthy, huh? All right.
You even said there it fragmented into multiple pieces as Full Metal Jackets are designed to do, when the opposite is the case.
All right.
Full Metal Jacket bullets don't fragment into multiple. That's a fragmenting or exploding bullet. I mean, he's just making up this shit and counting on his authority as his story that he's sticking to for, to carry conviction. This is rubbish, Gary. Rubbish.
All right. Well, there's your shill alert for 2023. We've been pretty good at finding them. And that came in my email, by the way. And I don't know how in the heck it got there.
Of course.
So anyway, Jerry Rogers, a shill. All right. We're going to call it a little early tonight. Good show, Larry, as usual. And Jim, this has been
excellent, Larry. Terrific stuff.
Yeah, the new JFK show, 270.
If people don't start looking into this fucking passport thing, are we being
That's
recorded?
wonderful. That's
we're
wonderful.
recording right now.
How can you be so stupid?
Staring us right in the face.
When you have the fucking passport was renewed on 23rd of June, the same day that Orestes Pena, mind you, renewed his passport in New Orleans, all right? And he doesn't use the passport to go to Mexico. He uses a tourist card, all right? But then supposedly he's going to use a passport in Mexico City, and this is the one that right behind us, okay? D025 092596 or something like that. Yeah. That's the number of the passport, and this is the one that he renewed. Remember that old one, the old one that showed him going to Russia and the Soviet Union, where he was in a suit and tie? That was, eliminated, and this is the one that replaced it. This is the one that he was fucking supposed to use to go to Mexico City, and he did not.
How could you have a visa attached to that passport when it's to Cuba when it says
exactly? So he goes anywhere with it, and then he supposedly shows his passport to Sylvia Duran. In fact, Sylvia Duran, and this is why this is such a fucking bunch of bullshit. This never happened.
And Larry, were the negatives that Sherry wanted those of the supposed to be Oswald in New Orleans who?
No, of course not. They were
supposed to be Oswald in Mexico City.
No, the big fat guy, the 35-year-old, the other guy.
Right.
Yeah, those are the ones.
Yeah,
but she wanted them regardless. At the 67 when Jim Garrison was investigating. At this time, this woman, her story is crazy, and it's she was not officially working in the Mexico City station. She went TDYs, which meant obviously, tourism
temporary duty.
Exactly. And this is how they hid her away. And they put her, and she was actually living in Mexico, but she was not officially among the 50 or 52 actual employees of the embassy, of the CIA and at the embassy.
They just disappeared her. They disappeared her.
And her official address was also always Washington, D.C.
Washington,
right?
D.C.
have everything, It's crazy.
That's all you need to know.
Man, this woman is important.
They buried her deep, Larry. They buried her deep.
Okay.
All right, fellas.
This woman is important. I'm telling you guys.
All right.
You got it. I think she was right up there with David Morales.
And they, try to, discredit, her importance and everything. And it's very obvious to me,
Yeah, it's good to have someone passionate
wonderful
about JFK and bringing you the truth. And that's what we do here. We'll see you next time, guys. Appreciate it. Good show.
Yep.